Hello, hello, video request. Okay, what do I think about Bill Cosby? I always thought, okay, I do believe that he raped all those women. And I always thought something really, whenever I saw an interview with him, you know, when he's not on the stage and when he's not on TV and stuff, and I remember thinking, oh my God, this guy is like retarded. Like, he's crazy. He's crazy, retarded, evil. He seems evil. Like, there's a lot of black, dark, evil energy in this guy, and he's really fucking dumb. Like, that's the impression that I get from him. And this is before I even found out about it. And then after I found out about him, I saw another, interview that some lady did with him before he got busted in. Yeah, he was like the most boring. It was like, it was like you put him on stage and he's funny, but then it's like the real guy behind this camera and it's totally different. Like, she asked him a question about drugs and then she filled in, he was going to say something, and then she filled in his sentence, and then he's like, he didn't respond at all and just kept talking like she wasn't even there and just talking nonsense. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, like guns. He actually was on the right side on guns, but he was like, guns, like, why? Something that kills. Why would you have something that kills? Like, but I mean, I suppose if somebody's on drugs and they come in your house, maybe you have to kill them. So like Bill Cosby, he's all about the drugs. If somebody's on drugs, then they're going to be crazy. So they're on drugs and they're totally different. And so lo and behold, he's using drugs to make people different, to take advantage of them. There was a stand-up that I heard, a clip where he's talking about the red pill or something, some kind of special red pill. Spanish fly. It's like Spanish fly. It's like the mythical like drop you put in a girl's drink, and then she is like your zombie, your sexual zombie or something. And he made a joke about it on a stand-up back in the 60s, and he's all, look at those, I was in the disco, look at those girls. And I started saying, Spanish fly, and everybody's like laughing in the crowd. And then I saw an interview with him and with Larry King in like the 90s. And all of a sudden he starts talking to Larry King about Spanish fly, and that if you do a drop of Spanish fly in any woman's drink, it's hello America. You're having sex with all of them. So, now somebody could say, oh, those people took that idea of him saying that, and they got that idea to take him down. Okay, why would somebody want to take Bill Cosby down? People want to take people like me down, Alex Jones, people who have reason to piss people off. Bill Cosby is just a stupid comedian. Like, who the fuck would want to take him down? Who with any kind of... Besides, who would want to take him down? Like, for what purpose? It's stupid. And you get 20 witnesses? I mean, there's a lot... This brings up a lot of subjects. I mean, you have like 25 women who come together with detailed stories, crying and all that kind of stuff, holding hands. It's like... If that's not believable, like, I mean, people get thrown in jail and get the death penalty and all this kind of stuff from like one witness, 2 witnesses enough. But the thing is, I think we're starting to realize is it kind of depends who you are. We're still in a world of where certain people are worth way much more than others, in terms of how much they're worth as human beings, and if you're going to believe their word and all this kind of stuff. And we're still not out of it. If you go into like elite world societies, or hanging out with elite people in third world countries or even in America, you'll notice that they don't have any respect for normal people. And yeah, I mean, there's this huge sliding scale. I mean, if you're like a big black star, even if you're black, if you're a big star, then you can say whatever the fuck you want, and they can say whatever they want, but you win. And I guess he threatened the hell out of them, though. That's why they weren't busting him, because right after he'd like threatened the shit out of him. And there was this one time where Wendy Williams was working on a radio show, and she was just kind of nonchalantly did like a small segment on like the today's news where some woman accused Bill Cosby of like raping her, and she was like, oh, interesting, accused Bill Cosby, huh? Anyway, the next day Bill Cosby calls in to her show and like yells at her boss, and then yells at her and called her everything but the son of God to her, and almost got her fired and shit just because she did that. So That's it's kind of like Lance Armstrong, you know, like if you piss, like those people are dark and they're evil, they're sociopaths. And so that you're not a human being to them. And so, you know, if you do anything that pisses them off, they get livid because it's kind of like a worthless piece of shit, nobody kid kind of like, you know, throwing mud at you or whatever. It's like, how dare you touch me? You know, I'm all this. And see, there's lots of stupid people in this world, and it warps the mind of the stupid people when you have a system set up where certain people get paid like 600 times more than you know, the guy who they work with, practically doing the same shit, only you know, it's a different position, so you're getting fucking 600 times more. $20,000 an hour, you know, these guys are getting paid. And you know, like me, I would make, how much do I, with my janitor job, I go there 4 times a week, work an hour and a half, and I make $3,000 a year. So it would take me almost 7 years to make what one of these guys make in an hour. And so it makes you like, it makes them, and even the underlings, you know, it's like they're worth more, and then they get to tell you and then they get to change the law, you know. We get to make everybody Christian, freedom of speech, bitch, you know, like the Hobby Lobby. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. So that's what it brought up with this whole Bill Cosby thing. Like, he's a star, and so he's untouchable. And so he can do whatever the fuck he wants, man. He can do anything. He can rape women. I mean, even when they're still awake, like, what was that model? Janice Dickinson, right? Oh, and the methods he uses. I mean, the stories that they tell of him. This guy is fucking pure evil. Janice Dickinson comes over, flies. She's in Key West or whatever. She flies out to Aspen or whatever because he tells her to, because he's going to get her an acting job, right? So she comes in. They're only hanging out for a second. He gives her a drink. She passes out. Last thing she remembers is him taking his pants off and jumping on top of her, and she's naked. Now, so she was awake. So she remembered all that, and he couldn't deny it, and they both knew what happened. But then, of course, the next day, he's like, yeah, you'd say anything about this, and I'll take your ass out. And then he puts her on a plane and takes her out. And there's this other lady he raped. And then she was like, oh, my God, he raped me. He's evil. And then they went and they picked him. He had his assistants call her to tell her to go to one of his comedy shows with her mom, because I guess her mom liked him. And she decided to go because her mom liked him. And anyway, while she was still in, somebody gave her a drink she didn't know. She drank it. She passed out in the show. During the show, she told the guy, I'm about to pass out, and she picked her up, drug her into the car, and then she woke up in Bill Cosby's bed naked again. She got raped twice. And, yeah, and so, I mean, it's funny that I get to say whatever the fuck I want about Bill Cosby, and he can't do shit because I'm like a nobody, like he'll never watch me. And even if he does, what the fuck can he do to me? Like, can you sue me? Like, how I can't give him money, and he can't throw me in jail for slander because I'm just saying what I heard. So it's funny that it's just interesting because Wendy Williams got in trouble. So when you're living in a system where you have people above you and supervisors, and then people who work below you, you know, it gives power to the people who, if they decide they don't like you, they can fuck you over. So we need to design a world that's more independent, you know, like where people kind of work for themselves more. So if somebody decides they don't like somebody, they don't have any pathways they can take and people they can intimidate or manipulate or pay off or whatever to fuck somebody over just because they don't like me, you know. Like I don't work for a network, so I'm not going to get a call like, hey man, somebody fucking saw you jumping, dancing around in your underwear in your room, motherfucker. Now we're all gonna fuck, you know what I mean? It's like, people can talk to me on my YouTube channel, but they can't like cut off my funding or like, you know, fire me and make me move and try to get another job or whatever, you know. They can just insult me and then we can talk back and forth. So anyway, yeah, I think it's good just to show us the kind of world that we live in now and the changes we need to make. Yeah, because it's amazing how, and then people still don't believe, and so it's interesting how people get hypnotized. Now I think maybe, so it's like, yeah, who is this guy Bill Cosby? Bill Cosby he's just a really dumb guy he's really funny to watch him try to figure stuff out in his stupid way, because that's what his comedy is all about. His comedy is just about, it's basically, if you think about it, it's the vantage points of somebody who doesn't understand, kind of like a Forrest Gump, doesn't understand the wider picture of anything. but they just see one thing, and it's just really funny that they see that one thing. And so everybody thought he was smart when he was just a dumbass, being himself. I mean, when he's up there doing comedy, he's being himself. He's just being funny. And I guess, yeah, America's Dad, like he was the dad, and everybody trusted him and all that kind of stuff, and he's raping women. Well, I think one thing about the reason he was doing that is because what is he, like 73 now? 78 or whatever? So he was coming up back in the 60s. You know, the world was a lot different then, especially black people. You know, his dad was probably poor. He was probably coming up. So it was like a huge change for him. So he gets really powerful, really rich. And it was kind of like this irresistible power he had, you know, like you get to slip a drink, you get to have a sex with a girl, and then you get addicted to it, and you keep doing it more, and then you start fucking doing it to women, even though they know they're getting raped, but you're only doing it so you can physically overpower them, and you know, but it doesn't matter because you know you can just threaten them and they won't say anything, so they do it over and over and over again, and of course you get addicted to it, and then of course he gets busted eventually. And now the whole class of cards coming down. Yeah, so his comedy, I think he just has, he's really dumb, so he can't see the big picture. So it gives him a whole lot of confidence because he doesn't overanalyze himself and he's not self-critical. So he has all this self-confidence. You know, like I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's like interrupted Jimmy Kimmel, like, come on, stop it. Like he likes to take over the room like he's big boss man. You know, and people think that's funny because he's like, because that's just the persona he created for himself, like the big authority, you know, who's like good, you know, like he's not dirty, he doesn't cuss. That was his whole thing. I guess Eddie Murphy did it like raw, you know, and he's cussing. And I heard Bill Cosby actually called him up and gave him shit for cussing and saying that he was giving black people a bad name. So. Yeah, so that goes in also the people who preach against this stuff, because I think Bill Cosby this whole time was preaching, talking trash about black people, and black people need to treat their women better and all this kind of stuff. The people who preach the most are the most evil, because they're trying to, there's complete sociopaths. They have absolutely zero regard for other people at all. So the decisions they make are 100% purely based on strategy, and it's not based on, you know, what they think, whether they think it's right or not. It's just the strategy. And so if you're a pure evil guy and you're raping women and you want to cover up your tracks and make people be like, oh no, not him, if anybody accuses him, the logical thing to do is to pump up with 100% fortitude and all of your energy into it. Pump up this image that you're the exact opposite. Right? Because it'll make you more of Teflon, more untouchable. Kind of like how, you know, Lance Armstrong puffed up the whole I'm like fixing cancer thing, and so don't fuck with me about the other shit. So those two guys remind me a lot of each other because they have their little minions, and they're threatened, and then they don't have any regard for other people. You know, everybody who knows them hates them, you know. Not everybody. I mean, I guess the lady who worked with Bill Cosby, his TV wife, what was her name? Has like a Middle Eastern name. She didn't notice any of that. So I mean, and she seems really cool. So, you know, he's just, when you're sociopathic like that, you can get away with hiding stuff under people because you can lie and you can, you know, you're a good actor. And his wife, I think, knew what was going on, but I think his wife is just a sellout, you know. Found herself in a situation. In fact, he probably threatened his own wife. His wife is probably more terrified of him than anybody else. He probably was like, you know, I'll fucking, you know, not give you any money or whatever, you know. And that's kind of how one way that men have power over their wives is, you know, if he's the guy with the job and they don't have a job, then they're stuck in the relationship, you know. And that's why they eventually made laws about if you divorce the husband, they have to give the alimony and give money to the wife so that the wife can be independent and not be afraid to leave. The whole Bill Cosby thing. It's too bad that another black man had to turn up being an evil motherfucker, because it's going to make people more racist against black people. But I think more than a white thing, it's more of like it's his background, you know. He came from a background of probably ignorance. And then he was catapulted into all this fame, and, you know, and he was just, and of course he's not that good looking. That's the thing about a Ozzy Osbourne's wife said that he's not that good looking. And so Janice Dickinson would never get with him. And so if you're not that good looking and you can't, and he probably doesn't have like the charm you need, because he's dumb, you know, you kind of have to be smart, and he's dumb. And so he realized he couldn't get, because his wife's not hot. He couldn't get a girlfriend, and so he just had to do the other thing, and then he realized it worked, and so there you go. Yeah, but I mean, it's crazy how people wouldn't believe it, you know? It's obvious that he was doing, I mean, yeah, so anyways, yeah, back to what I was saying before. Yeah, if it's like, what was that guy? Michael Brown, who got shot in East St. Louis, right? They had like 5 black witnesses say that that guy just shot him point blank. The girl in the car was literally right behind. She had to stop her car, and she was right there watching it 10 feet away. And she described exactly what happened. He ran away, and then he turned around, put his hands up, and got shot. And then the other guy got out of the house, saw it, turned around, put his hands up, got shot. And then another black dude, yeah, turned around. And then his friend was right there. All these black dudes, 4 black guys. And then some white bitch who wasn't even there just made it up, said that she was there, and has been busted like 3 times before making shit up, racist. And they use her testimony in the official documents. So, we need to talk about this stuff, because it's like pure on, you know, we've got the pure on racism, and you know, just because you're white and people are believing you now doesn't mean that down the road you're not going to find yourself fucking painted into a corner. Because like me, I'm a stoner. That whatever I say, being a stoner is worse than being black. So no black motherfucker tell me what it's like, that I don't know what it's like being black. Okay, I know what it's like being black. You don't know what it's like being a stoner. I mean, read the comment section on my fucking videos. I can't get a job. I got kicked out of college. I mean, if you're a stoner, dude, and I mean, some people are like, fuck you, no, that's not true. Yeah, right, and the people who are saying that are stoners who don't admit being stoners on TV, YouTube. Why do you not believe admitting? If anybody knows what being a stoner and how people fucking hate you, and it's me, okay? It's people who are stoners out there in the world. It's not people, it's not fucking couch surfer, backstreet drivers or whatever the fuck. And I'm telling you, it's true that there's people, you know, like me, look at my website. You can have the greatest website and best person and the smartest person in the world, but if you're a certain person, then it's like, that's the only thing that they're going to see. So it's, so yeah, that's what it is. These poor, if you're rich, you know, you can say whatever the fuck you want. Then of course you can buy off the lawyers to sue the shit out of people. And if you're just you know, like some aspiring actress lady, nobody's going to believe you. And if you're 25 aspiring actress ladies all telling the same story, holding hands, crying at the press conference, they're still not going to believe you. There's still lots of people out there who don't believe them. It's weird. We live in a world of retards, man. I mean, it's like people are not paying attention to fact, you know, like with the whole Michael Brown thing. You just like, look how it is. You know, if it had been 5 ladies, you have to believe them, you know? It's just, now, yeah, the statute of limitations, though, you know, that is the problem. Because, you know, if you give people enough time, you can conceivably come up with shit like this to get people to collaborate and take somebody down. And so, as far as the statute, like, what do I think should happen to Bill Cosby? You know, I mean, if they have the statute of limitations law, you know, they shouldn't go and just break that law and throw him in jail or anything, but maybe they should definitely consider changing the statute of limitations. I think maybe if you have more than 15 witnesses, more than 10 witnesses to the same crime from the same person, then you could extend the statute of limitations 2 years per person. So that'll jack it up 20 more years, and then that's within statute, and then you can throw that motherfucker in jail. Let him rot in prison. But we have to do something, dude. You gotta, we can't let this motherfucker get away with it, because then you're setting a precedent for letting other people get away with it. And then you make people feel like they live in a world where people can get away. I mean, too many people are getting away with stuff. You gotta throw Dick Cheney and George Bush and Condoleezza Rice in jail. We gotta throw Bill Cosby in jail. We gotta throw, The Lance Armstrong thing's a little bit different. I don't know if you'd throw him in jail. Who else? Who else was I talking about? Bernie Madoff, throw him in jail. Who else is not in jail? Who needs to be in jail? There's somebody else. Oh yeah, that fucking cop. All those cops who kill those black people, they need to be in jail too. Anyway, so that's what I think about Bill Cosby. Okay, peace out.